What's up, everybody? It's Ryan here, and today we're going to go over the 9 worst money mistakes to avoid in your 20s. These are the worst and most common mistakes that people in their 20s make. If you avoid these mistakes, you'll be able to prevent financial hardship, become financially independent, and possibly financially free sooner. And please stick around at least until mistake number 3, because if you can nail down mistake number 3 and avoid it, you'll be able to build confidence like through the roof. So, how does one become good with money? How does one become so good with money that all money anxieties are gone? Well, before we really begin into the main meat of the content, I want you to think about these 3 principles first. If you focus on the 3 principles, they are sort of the glue that put together these 9 mistakes or prevent you from making these mistakes. And that's number 1, learn from other people's mistakes. Number 2, avoid unrecoverable financial hardship. And number 3, be very good or become very efficient at managing small amounts of money. Look, I've been married for 14 years. I have 3 kids, and I can tell you that I made a lot of mistakes. I've lost a lot of money, made a lot of bad investments. I even claimed bankruptcy. But today I can tell you I'm now financially free. I would have gotten here sooner if I avoided the things that I'm about to teach you. Money mistake number 1, not setting financial goals. I know this sounds very obvious and sounds very simplistic, but do not underestimate this. Being broke, being poor, running out of money is normal. Most people do not have enough money. Most people run out of money very quickly. They spend money on frivolous things, on things that go down in value. When you set a financial goal, it automatically sets you up to push that automatic default setting of broke behind you or to the side. More than anything, setting financial goals allow you to stay focused and prevent really bad decision making. Because at the end of the day, managing your money well and avoiding mistakes is really more about good decision making. And since you're watching this video, chances are you want to save more money because you want to earn more money so that you can become financially free, so that you can take care of your family, take care of your future, or go off to college, pay your college loans, pay your college debts, or even decide if that's something that you should do for you or yourself, your family, whatever it might be. A powerful vision will pull you forward. And it's important that you set something that's motivating to you, something meaningful to you. I'm going to go over 3 tips or 3 ways I like to set goals. Number 1 is the challenged method. You pick something just outside your comfort zone, something that is within your capabilities, something that's just on the edge of your skill sets. You know that if you committed to a goal that is difficult, you could accomplish it. You don't want to pick a goal that is so big that it lowers your confidence. That's sort of the idea of a challenge goal. It's just challenging enough, almost to a point of being easy, but not too easy. Number 2 is the tiny method. I like the tiny method because it's a good way to sort of get that little bit of progress that motivates you. With finances, a lot of the time, it could just be downloading a particular app. Maybe you want to get into investing and you want to get Robinhood or Webull. Personally, I really like the tiny method for the simple fact that I can take a big goal and scale it down to the first steps or like half of the first step. And that will allow me to take a few steps forward or take that first little bit forward. Number 3. I will show you, I will prove you wrong. I have to say that I'm more motivated by negativity more than anything else. And I don't know what that is. That's just how I am. I've always been like that. I don't know if you can relate to this, but when someone says I can't do something, or when someone thinks my goal is too big, or when someone thinks that I'm not capable, or gives the hint that I can't do it, I cannot tell you how much that is so much fuel in the fire to get me going, to accomplish it, to prove them wrong. Prove the haters wrong. Prove the parents wrong. Prove your friends wrong, whatever it may be. That lights me up, it gets me motivated, it helps me push. So my question to you is, which of these methods resonates with you? Number 1, number 2, or number 3? Leave a comment below, I'm really curious to know. And better yet, if you want to take another step forward, go ahead and leave your goal, your 6 or 12-month goal in the comments. And it'll be kind of cool because a year from now or 6 months from now, we can take a look at if you accomplish that goal. And you best believe if you set a 6-month goal, I will follow up and comment. Money mistake number 2, don't save for retirement, save to get rich. Now, I like this a lot because the whole point of accumulating money is to accumulate wealth. Why? So you could become financially independent, but better than that, financially free. So you don't worry about money. But a big part of not worrying about money is having enough of it so that it can grow on its own. That means making really good investments that give you really good returns, safe returns, taking risks on higher ROI returns. But for the first point, before you can even get there, you have to have money to invest. And that's where saving comes along. Saving to get rich means not necessarily retirement. It means to let your wealth compound. And I have to be honest with you, I have to tell you how I really feel about retirement. When people tell me that you need to save for retirement, it never resonated with me. I never imagined myself retiring. I actually never saw myself working. For me, work was going to be a passion. It was going to be something I enjoyed. It was going to be something that I would do forever. That's kind of what my focus was. So when people say save for retirement, it didn't make sense to me. But when people said, or when I heard or thought and realized that it was saving to get rich, well, a whole different mindset took place. One of the easiest ways to do this, I feel like, is the 401k or your employee-sponsored retirement plan. Because it automatically, you can instruct your employer to take money pre-taxed from your check. That automatically saves it and you can barely notice it. But then you'll gradually build this nest egg that you'll be like, wow, I have a couple $1,000s in here. I didn't know. The fact remains that you're just going to be ahead of most people if you do this. And that's really what you want to do. You want to save to get rich. And let's talk a little bit about what it means to save to get rich, or what rich means. I mean, rich to me means you could do whatever you want with whomever you want and not worry about a single dime. You don't have to go to work. You work because you want to work. And if there's anything more motivating to me than that, I mean, I can't think of anything more motivating. To be able to do whatever you want, have the capacity to do whatever you want. And it all starts by saving to get rich. Money mistake number 3, living paycheck to paycheck. Do not do this. Living paycheck to paycheck means you do not have an emergency fund. That means if you lost your job or if your hours got cut, you'll be scrambling to find a job or sell something just so you can make ends meet. That is the worst position to be in. It is incredibly stressful when you are depending on your next paycheck. When you have a nest egg or you have an emergency fund and you have, I don't even know, let's say 1 month of savings. You know that you can take a month off, lose your job, and be totally okay because all your bills will be covered because you have an emergency fund. Don't be in a position to be paycheck to paycheck because otherwise it causes you to be desperate or it causes you to do it, or maybe not that bad. It could go to that extreme depending on your situation. You know, when I was strapped for cash, I didn't have money. It didn't matter when I was single and I didn't have kids. But when I had kids and I had a mortgage and I had car payments, it's very sort of demoralizing because you kind of have no choice but to take what's given to you because you need it that bad. By having an emergency fund, you never have to need anything. And more than anything, when you are someone that is on your own and you're single, you just have more flexibility. You don't even have to save that much. That's kind of why it's a good level 1 exercise just to save for your own personal self. So that way, if and when you ever decide to get a family or support other people, that you can build an even bigger emergency fund. Here's another way to look at it too. I really like the fact that, you know, when you save money, I know it doesn't always feel so good because it feels like you're dieting, you're depriving yourself. But then the way you want to look at it as when you buy stuff that you like, things and jewelry and cars and electronics and gadgets or whatever you're into, right? That stuff ends up owning you. So when you save money, you're basically buying time in case something bad happens, or better yet, nothing bad has to happen. Maybe you just don't feel like going into work. Maybe you don't like your job. Maybe you just finally go, hey, I don't like this boss. Or I would rather do something else with my life. That's what an emergency fund allows you to do. It gives you that peace of mind to get you off that paycheck to paycheck mindset. And more than anything, this is really an extension of getting rich. Because the truth is, your emergency fund is essentially part of your savings to get rich fund. So here's how I like to start. I like to start 3 months. Have 3 months in savings. Whatever it takes for you to maintain your bills for 3 months. And if you're living at home and you don't pay rent, pretend you have rent. That way you can get started early. So that way, let's just say, I don't know, you're not paying any rent, but set aside $1,000 a month or $500 a month. So that way you can get used to living as though you did have rent. Mistake number 4, not getting a credit card soon enough, not focusing on building your credit. Look, when you first start out and you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of earning power, the most valuable thing you have is your credit. And more than anything, think about in the real world and having like a reputation, how people trust you, reputation amongst your peers at school or at work or in your family. You have a certain reputation. Your credit score, your credit is essentially your financial reputation. Think about it. Why would someone let you borrow 10, 20, 30, or $50,000 to buy a car or more? Or better yet, why would someone give you 300, 500,000, $1 million to buy a house? The reason why is because of your credit. It's because of your reputation, your financial reputation. So you want to start off by getting a credit card as soon as possible and put like some recurring bill on there, maybe your Netflix or Spotify bill, and then just pay it off. Nothing much. And what that does, it creates history. And what a lot of people don't know is that it takes about 2 years, 18 months to 2 years before that credit card or that length of credit becomes worth anything. The more financial reputation you have, the stronger financial reputation you have, that allows you to get more opportunities to borrow money, to take advantage of investments that otherwise people can't get. Again, going back to your personal reputation amongst your peers in your work, a lot of the time it's not much different. When you have high reputation, people trust you, people give you more opportunities, you get promoted, you get raises. Financial reputation, your credit score is exactly the same way. You get more opportunities to get lower rates on loans. You get opportunities to buy cars. People will just basically say, hey, buy a car from us. They just will give you the car because your credit is so immaculate. People give you discounts. They give you free stuff. At some point when you get your credit score high enough, they'll basically give you a couple $100 just to get the credit card. Money mistake number 5. Don't buy a house. Rent until you understand the unintended consequences. What a lot of people don't realize when it comes to buying a house is a mortgage is actually a prison, or can become a prison if you don't plan accordingly. In my own personal experience, I will tell you that buying a house was a lot worse than renting. And one of the biggest reasons of this is because when we bought a house, I bought it too soon. I could barely afford it. I barely made it. And the problem was I ended up buying stuff for the house to add upgrades and make it more of a home, buying new furniture, working on the backyard, all these things that end up adding more money. It's a little bit of a financial trick to get you to think like a homeowner because it causes you to spend more money. I bought a house around the age of 22 years old, and that was over 10 years ago. And when I bought a house, one of the biggest mistakes I made that I wish I didn't make is house hacking. Like right now, all the rage right now is house hacking. And it's really simple. All you do is you just buy a house and you rent out the rooms. And then you have the people living with you pay for your mortgage. And because you spent the time to save for a down payment, you spent the time to build your credit, then you spent the time to actually acquire a house, you get the benefit of being able to rent your rooms out. Now, in case you haven't lived on your own or ever bought a house, or you're still living at home, whatever it might be, generally what they want, if you want to get a mortgage or just rent a house, rent an apartment, they want your rent to be essentially 4 times, or I should say 25% of your take-home pay. So if you're taking home $2,000 from your job or from your income sources, they don't want your rent to be more than 25% of that $2,000, and that is $500. So that's how the math works out. For mortgages, for owning a home, there's a little bit more flexibility. However, it's generally about the same. Usually 28% to 33% is what most lenders like to see. They don't want your mortgage to exceed 30% of your net take-home pay. If you want to know a simple hack if you can afford a house or if you can afford to live on your own, a conservative way to do it is to multiply the rent that you're going to pay times 4. So if you want to rent a place for $1,500 a month, then you're looking at multiplying that by 4, so you need to be making about $6,000 a month. Now you can get away with making less than that, but that's just a good quick napkin math that will allow you to get a sense for kind of how much income you need to make to afford a $1,500 a month place. Often though, you can probably be okay with around maybe times 3.5 or times 3. Money mistake number 6. Don't buy a car. Definitely don't buy a new car. If you need a car and really want a car, buy used. If you want to become financially free someday, you have to limit the things you buy that go down in value. And a car, especially a new car, goes down in significant value. The moment you buy a new car and drive it off the lot, you lose 20% of the value right away. And here's another thing. Often when you buy a new car, you have to get this thing called gap insurance. And it's an additional insurance you got to pay on top of your regular insurance in case you get in a total wreck. Because the car drops in value by so much the day you buy it, you end up owing more on the car than the car is worth. And that's what gap insurance does. It basically covers that difference of how much the car is worth versus the loan. And here's the other thing to be very worrisome about buying a new car. There is a ton of upsells. The car sales process is crazy. They basically turn you upside down and they shake all the money out of you. You buy a car, they want you to buy some special warranty, they want you to buy some special upgrades. It just doesn't stop. And then pretty much you're really invested in wanting to get this car that you can't let go of it. So that's more of the reason why you shouldn't buy a new car. I will say, if you do get a new car, I really recommend that you have to have a good negotiator on your side. Or not even a new car, just getting a car from a dealership, because the negotiation tactics are required to get a good deal, so that way you don't basically lose your shirt. One of the best things about getting a used car is you get more for your money. And if you do this right, you can actually buy the car and sell it for either the same amount of what you bought it for, or make a little bit of money after using it for a year or two. The other thing when it comes to buying a car from a private party is you have a lot more negotiating room typically, right? There's a lot of middlemen, not a lot of overhead that they have to pay, because at a car dealership, they kind of have to turn you upside down and shake the money out of you. It costs money to keep everyone employed. People's compensation plans are sort of derived from every piece of that car that's sold. With a private party, you're usually dealing with just one person that has basically a couple cars or just one car. There is this great video on YouTube that you should watch if you are in the market of buying a new car soon, or a used car, I should say. Excuse me. Go to Whiteboard Finance, Marco. I'll leave a link below. It's so good. Money mistake number 7, lifestyle inflation. The more money you make, the more money you're going to spend more money. As you become more financially successful, more financially confident, and you start to do very well in your career or business or side hustle, whatever you may be doing, you're going to end up spending more money. There's sort of no way around it. It's very difficult to prevent these things. Why? Well, because you want to enjoy some of your money. You don't want to be a complete penny pincher. You want to enjoy life. But at the same time, there's this thing where you have to decide between saving for the future and enjoying the now. And there's this balance. And oftentimes, people spend too much time focusing on the now and spending for the now, and they don't pay enough time for their future, especially for those in their 20s. Probably the worst thing that causes overspending is when you go out with your friends and you overspend for a good time. Now, I am a little bit conflicted here because I really think that spending money on experiences are worth it, like trips and vacations, but you have to budget them. You got to put it in a way where it makes sense for both the now and the future. Often people give up their future or sacrifice too much of their future for their now. I think the other thing that I had problems with is just downgrading. Like, I suffered a huge loss when the financial markets turned against me and we lost some homes to foreclosure on some investments that went really bad. And we just ran out of credit. And what ended up happening is we just couldn't afford our lifestyle anymore. It was very, very difficult. I became very good at pinching pennies because we just had no more money. They closed our credit lines. It was really bad. And I remember this vividly, how difficult it was to downgrade, to give up things. And the truth is, I really didn't have a choice because we just didn't have any more money. I was either going to get gas so I could drive to work, or I wasn't going to be able to go to work to make money. Be careful with the upgrades that you do in your life. You just have to. Like, even in my businesses that I manage and run, we invest in our infrastructure and we invest for tech and employees and staff. But I'm very careful about what I spend on, because often whatever I invest in for my businesses or for our businesses that I help manage, what happens is those payments, whether it be a retainer to an agency or a new employee, you essentially becomes a permanent fixed cost. So be very careful with your lifestyle inflating, or in my case, I just gave you an example of business, my business costs inflating. Money mistake number 8, believing good things last forever. I have to say, this is probably the worst thing that I did, is I wasn't thinking about the future. I thought what I did to make money, what I did to be successful financially in that time was going to keep on working. And that's not the truth. Your compensation plan will change if you're in sales. Your position may get eliminated. You might get downsized. The economy might change and they can't keep you employed anymore. Your bonus structure may change. That's kind of what happened to me a lot of the time. The things that you used to sell, if you are doing your own online business stuff or side hustle stuff, it's going to be more difficult. It becomes more competitive. You have to be ready for change. That's really what this is about. Being prepared for change means having cash in the bank. And this mistake of believing good things last forever is what prevented me from putting cash in the bank. I thought it was going to last forever. Okay, I overspent this much. I overspent this month. I'm going to go ahead and just make it up next month. And then I kept doing that over and over again until a point I just essentially ended up being stuck. And I couldn't make the money the same way, and I was in debt. And he said, he has a book actually called Only the Paranoid Survive. Now there's a little bit of balance to this. You don't want to be too afraid and too paranoid, but being paranoid allows you to think about the future and plan ahead. Build skills, keep your emotions in check, and really think about the long term. Because often so many people forget that the short term is so short term. They don't realize that it can go away, and you think that the way things are going is going to last forever. You're just not going to be able to do that forever, and you have to keep that in mind. Money mistake number 8 is really more about the good times not lasting forever and having good decision-making prowess, decision-making acumen and skill. At the end of the day, it is a decision-making mistake. The one thing to really remember is that when things are good, they will eventually get bad. And when things are bad, things will eventually get good. Things always change, and I just want to emphasize that. The good things don't last forever, but the bad things don't last forever too. So keep a good balance. With how you view your situation. Because at the end of the day, it really is about solid decision making, good thought, and thinking. Money mistake number 9, not having a side hustle. Profits are better than wages. The real mistake, the real money mistake, is having only one source, one stream of income. Diversify your income streams. Diversify your skill sets. You're going to have a job, but you want to be able to find other ways to generate income. Having a side hustle, working on a side hustle, will allow you to become financially free sooner. I can't tell you how working on a side hustle, I worked on side hustles for years until I got a couple to work. It took some time, but it's definitely worth the time and value of doing it. I think more than anything, it builds confidence, it allows you to express your creativity, and it allows you to have fun in a different way while making money at the same time. You can have fun working on a hobby that can be profitable, and the truth is wages are great. You can make $10, $20, $30, $50, $100 an hour, whatever job you have, but when you get profits, you sell something, you buy it for $20 and you sell it for $100, I mean, that's $80 of profit. Imagine if you could do that twice a day, 5 days a week. I mean, you're making essentially a full-time living on 1 to 2 hours of work a day. But here's the thing, obviously that sounds really easy, it sounds simple, but it's not easy. It takes time to build other skills that are related to building a side hustle so it could turn into a full-grown business. One of the things when it comes to side hustles is that it's sort of a blank canvas, something they should be working on the side, an art form almost, a little bit of a business. I think it's a mixture of different things that allow you to express your creativity, to sort of learn how to hack the system and learn economics and learn what customers want and work on something that will eventually pay you dividends in the future. And if anything, maybe not necessarily like real cash flow from a business that you build and sell, like a business that you build and sell, but something that allows you to build skills that either complement your next job or your existing job or maybe the next business. I can't tell you, a lot of the things that have made me successful today were many things years ago I failed on. The other thing too is that it helps with building confidence. Making money without a job, I think, is freaking cool. I mean, to be able to basically make money out of thin air. You found value to sell to somebody else, but you were able to buy it, build a skill to build something. Maybe it's a drawing or a piece of art form. Maybe it's programming software. Maybe it's a service you provide to someone. There's something about not depending on a job that I find just so liberating. It also just acts as a backup plan. I think more than anything, as I've stressed with mistake number 3 about living paycheck to paycheck and not having an emergency fund, this is the same thing. This is allowing you to have something that allows you to save money faster. It allows you to, again, have an extra backup source of income in case your job falls through. Or more than anything, what has happened to me is that my side hustle eventually became my full-time job, full-time business, and has made me financially free. So my question to you is, which of these mistakes did you find most helpful? Which one were most unique? Which were most interesting? Which one of these are you going to implement right away? I really want to know. Leave a comment down below because I want to make a video for you. I want to make a video for you because you got this far in the video, and I want to make sure that I make videos that are going to help you become financially independent, financially confident, and financially free. More than anything, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you want to make a suggestion for future videos. And of course, if you want to get 2 free stocks from Webull, there's a link down below. It's a platform that I trade on. I'm going to have some videos on that too. I kind of like that platform. There's a couple that I use, but we'll talk more about that in later videos. Thanks for watching, and this is Ryan signing off. I'll see you guys later.